Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about Wisconsin's win total for next season. You guys know the deal. We're doing futures bets. So I'm going to tell you what I think the win total is for next season. You can go to the sportsbook and put your bet in. By the way, if you're looking, they just released the American Athletic Conference and the Mountain West win totals. Now, I went and did a quick Mountain West video, and I put it out for free. But I am going to do a deep dive this summer, or after I finish all the Power 5 teams. I will get to these teams and break them all down, just like I am these here. So you will get your futures bets in. Remember, guys, go put your bet in now before the win total changes, and you will win at the end of the season. It'll be like a tax return if you hit them all. Now, I'm going to show you guys the chart. I usually can't show it in the first 30 seconds because that's where we have everything, okay? So if you look at this chart here, for Wisconsin, I'm on the over. I'm on the over 6.5 wins. I think they win 7 games at least. But if you look here, I have all these bets for you to make. You can just grab all the greens and put them in. Go put $5 on every green you see. Go put $20 on this one. Put fucking $50 on that one, $10 on that one. You see the unit size. Avoid all the value bets if you want. But I'm telling you, if you take all the value bets, we're going to come out on top. I promise. We're coming out on top regardless. We're going to keep stats just like we do with the UFC. Over here, we'll have our lock record, our lean record, and our value bet record for the entire season. At the end of the year, though, if you bet on the futures bets, you're going to be ahead because I don't miss. All right, we'll see what happens. Let's see if we got this under control here. So let's go talk about Wisconsin real quick. If you looked at them last season, they won 7 games. Luke Fickell coming in from Cincinnati takes a while to cook, if you didn't know, okay? Luke Fickell's a great coach. He's really hard-nosed, makes a lot of blue-collar guys great, and he was doing it at Cincinnati with lower resources. Now you're at Wisconsin. Yes, you're now in the Big Ten. It's the big boys, and it's tough. And you're trying to change the identity. One thing I will say about Luke Fickell at Wisconsin is I don't believe in Phil Longo as an offensive coordinator. One thing I learned about Phil Longo when he was the offensive coordinator at North Carolina 2 years ago is he did not get the most out of Drake May. He did not get the most out of Omarion Hampton, their running back. He had a breakout season last year. He'd been on the team already. But this man was not getting the most out of his running backs. He runs a different style of offense. And it bothers me, but the highlight of his offenses are Josh Downs, are the slot receivers. And so when you look at Wisconsin, I want you to pay attention to their slot receivers and some of the receiver sets because that's what's going to drive this team. It's not going to be the Wisconsin of old. That grinding style is not there. Now, I know games in October, November, December are so cold, and it's very advantageous to utilize your mauling, road grade offensive line and to utilize a powerful back. But you saw what they did with Braylon Allen. They didn't use him properly. He got injured at some point, and the running back room was atrocious last year. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit here. But you see them winning. They beat Buffalo, losing to Washington State, kind of let Washington State get ranked because of that. And everybody's like, oh, my God, they're so amazing. Nope. Wisconsin was just struggling with their offense, trying to learn their new team. Once again, they go out to Georgia Southern. They beat Purdue bad, beat Rutgers, lose to Iowa in a close game, respectable, beat Illinois, lose to Ohio State, lose to Indiana, lose to Northwestern. These losses are respectable losses now that we know. The Indiana loss is inexcusable, but the Northwestern loss, they ended up beating Utah last year. They ended up winning 8 games. It's a respectable loss. Beating Nebraska in overtime, beating Minnesota handedly, and then you saw 15 practices after the season. 15 practices. This is why making a bowl game is so important. Your team gets 15 additional practices to get developed. And they went and started developing, and they show up against LSU, and you can be like, well, LSU didn't play with their draft pick. Oh, yeah. No, they played with the team they are going to play with this season. All the players that played in that bowl game are there this season, right? So they went out there and did their thing, and they looked good. They put up 31 points against an LSU team. Yes, the defense was porous, but we're talking about a team that struggled to score 31 against anyone. They hadn't scored 31 points since Purdue. And they only scored more than 31 points in those first couple of weeks. Only, 3 times? 3 times against a MAC team, a Sun Belt team, and Purdue. That's it. So it's very impressive. I like to see where they were trending going into the offseason. So now you see the books, and the books tell you, hey, they got to win 6.5 games for you to believe in them. 6.5. So the same amount, 7 wins. Are they going to get to 7 wins next year? Let's talk about it. Let's look at this team and break them down. So, 2023, their leading passer, Tanner Mordecai, gone to the NFL. He's no longer here. Transfer from Oklahoma and SMU. Didn't quite pan out, and he didn't do what people expected him to do. They wanted him to put up extreme numbers, big numbers. It just wasn't there. 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,000 yards, some injuries, and you get Braden Locke coming in. Braden Locke cannot do all the same things. He wasn't quite as athletic, but this is a Mississippi State transfer. He looked good. Touchdown to interception ratio was 5-1, but that average of 5.1, that is terrible, guys. 5.1 yards per attempt, that's not good. That's screen passes and really dink and dunk, really short stuff, and especially across 150 attempts. That's 5.1 on 150 attempts. That's very deliberate. Okay, running back room. This is a running back room 2 years ago was so loaded. We're talking about a running back room that used to have Braylon Allen as the starter. The backup was Isaac Gurindo, who transferred to Louisville, just got drafted in the NFL draft. Then third string was Chez Mellusi. But because of injuries, you lose your depth, and now you have Jackson Aker, a fourth or fifth string running back, and he's starting games because of injuries. Chez Mellusi goes down with another season-ending injury. This is a guy who was a Clemson transfer. He looks like he plays well. He looks good. He's explosive. He does things, but he hasn't completed a season in a very long time. I believe he's had 2 season-ending injuries back-to-back. Another guy that came off the bench that got playing time that probably shouldn't have been in games was this guy, Cade Yakimelli. And what I want to tell you about Cade Yakimelli is I thought he was going to hit the transfer portal. I never made a video on it, but I was prepared for him to hit the transfer portal, and he didn't. So I look like I know what I'm talking about because I didn't guess it and I didn't get it right. But I'm telling you, there's no room for this guy on this team. Wisconsin got a different caliber of running back this season in recruiting. And I'm telling you right now, Jackson Aker and Cade Yakimelli are on borrowed time. They're on borrowed time. I think Chez will still be the starter. I think, and we'll talk about it in the transfer portal picture here and the recruiting, but just listen to me when I tell you Jackson Aker and Cade Yakimelli are going to be passed on this depth chart. They're not going to see these 300 yards. They're not going to see these 30 carries. They're just not. They're already passed. And I can just tell when I go watch tape, they got so much better at running back. It's just something outrageous, and I'll show it to you in a few. Wide receivers, Will Pauling comes in. Will Pauling, a transfer, comes in and shows out, balls out. Will Pauling's an NFL guy. There's no denying it. Will Pauling's an NFL guy. Bryshawn Green, gone. Dyke, gone. Skylar Bell, gone. Oh, no, Bryshawn Green's still here, right? Let me double check. Green's still here. My bad. Green's still here, but the others are gone. Sorry about that. I'm like, what am I talking about? Dyke's gone. Skylar Bell's gone. They both transferred. C.J. Williams, highly underwhelming last year. Highly underwhelming. This is a USC transfer, 4-star kid. Love everything about him. And he just did not get it done. And if he doesn't get it done this year, he will have to transfer again because he's going to get passed on that depth chart. Once again, another stud receiver, 2-3 stud receivers showing up, and a kid on the depth chart passing him, and I'm going to talk about it here shortly. Tight end play at Wisconsin was atrocious. And just so you guys know, Wisconsin doesn't have a spring game like most teams. They have 13 spring practices, and the last practice is like a scrimmage, 11 on 11. No spring game, though. But I watched all the film I could find. I read every report. I did all my research I could. And what I tell you is, tight ends, they were using Riley. Riley Nowakowski was being utilized, and it looked like he had good rapport with the new quarterback. And we'll talk about that on the next chart. There's this kid right here, though. See this Tretch Kekahuna? Tretch Kekahuna, dude. So in high school, he was playing at St. Louis High School in Hawaii. I believe he was a back-to-back state champ in the 4x100 meter relay. He was the anchor. He stopped playing at St. Louis, which is a powerhouse in Hawaii, and transferred to Bishop Gorman. Played out of his mind at Bishop Gorman. This is a slot receiver. He's fast, bro. And he's nice. I think he's going to be, obviously the starting slot receiver is Will Pauling. I think he's going to be on the field a lot more than you anticipate. I expect 20 to 30 receptions out of Trench. I think he's going to be in that rotation. Burrows, same thing. Another transfer, came in with the coaching staff out of Cincinnati. Stud. Stud and Burrows, like him a lot. All right, Keontae Lewis gone. And we'll keep talking about some other guys here. Go to defense. I'm going to say it to you now. In America, Hunter Waller is the fourth best safety in America. But the Wisconsin secondary is top 5. I want to say they're number 1, but I just got to double check myself. I'm just going to say top 5 because I love Ohio State's defense. But they are top 5 in the secondary. Linebackers, I believe they're SEC caliber, and people don't realize it. They address linebacker in the transfer portal like crazy, and they found all the right pieces. Defensive line, it's Wisconsin. They got bodies. They got big guys, but they need some work. They don't have the pass rush acumen that you're used to. They don't have all them studs going and getting sacks, but they have a great secondary. I promise you it's one of the best in America. I can't think of one better. It'd be a debate. I love a lot of these players. A lot of these guys are returning. Obviously, Hunter Waller's returning, team's leading tackler. He's a white safety, so he sticks out. Jake Chaney coming back, graduate. Shout out to him. Coach Chaney's son, out of Colorado, by the way. Jordan Turner, starting linebacker, but actually hit the transfer portal. He didn't fit their mix. They like more athletic linebackers that can actually drop into coverage. Jordan Turner is a run-tackling linebacker, so he went up to Michigan State. He's gone. Goats, is Goats still here? Is Goat still here? I don't think he is. I think he's done. I apologize. I should know everything off the top of my head. I should memorize every play on every team, especially if I'm going to talk about them. So, a couple guys that stick out to me, though, when I look at tape. Darrell Peterson pops on tape. 4.5 sacks last year. He's going to be one of their starting edges. He's amazing. I like that guy. That's a solid player. Nazir Forqueen. This is a transfer from Grand Valley State last year. Division II school. Complete stud. Coming out of the GLIAC. He was initially going to go to Texas A&M, right? I think. No, Vanderbilt. And then he flipped to Wisconsin. So he flipped to Wisconsin following his coach, and it's great news for them. He's a good player. Now, he's not that productive, and I think that might be a problem for him because they got other players coming. Ricardo Hallman, you can't mess with him. 7 interceptions, 152 yards returning, one for 95 yards. But this guy was everywhere making interceptions. He's a playmaker. What I will say about Ricardo Hallman is he's not as good as those stats. I like double-digit passes deflected, and they got a kid coming in who's just that good. We'll talk about it, okay? Some of these other guys stick out. Some of them hit the transfer portal like Paez. Kamayo Latu, he's also from St. Louis High School out in Hawaii. He's a transfer from Utah. Good player. They say he's a backup safety, but that's a player you put on the field. Like I said, their safeties, their defensive room is great. This is a young linebacker, Christian Allegro. I believe they think he's going to start. Nah. They're going to find a different way for different linebackers to be on the field. Trust me. I watched the tape. I'm impressed with other players. I'm going to tell you who they are. So, second leading receiver coming back. Will Pauling, leading receiver coming back. CJ Williams Burroughs is there. This is Tretch I was telling you about. He's amazing when I watch tape. Chris Brooks is a big body wide receiver. He's going to be in the rotation. Chris Brooks can play. He might hit the portal, though, next year because he's not going to be utilized as much as he should. That's a good player. Their offensive line, some people will tell you they're not as strong as they need to be or they're not as consistent as they are. Both tackles are studs. You see Jake Renfro and Joe Huber, these are both transfers from Cincinnati. They know their coach. They've been in this system before. They are transfers from Cincinnati from 2 years ago. They didn't get the start 2 years ago. They're getting the start this year. I think they're ready to do the damn thing. Like I said, tight ends, the guy that stuck out the most is Nikowski here. This transfer, Jackson McGowan. No shame in him being a transfer tight end. He's coming over from LSU. Couldn't get in the LSU rotation. LSU's got some great tight ends. Shout out to Taylor. So you bring in McGowan. He's young. He's going to have a couple years before he becomes that guy. But these two right here have playing experience. Quarterback, bring in Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. He was Miami's starting quarterback. He beat out some other good quarterbacks to be the starter at Miami. Let's make that very clear right now. Okay, he beat out Ja'Cory Brown. He beat out Jake Garcia. He beat out another kid. Like he beat out guys. So we know he can play. He's been in NFL mock drafts for 2 years now. People think he's an NFL caliber guy because of his size. He comes from the upper northeast, that Massachusetts area. He's just one of those guys. One of those Will Levis type dudes. Look, I'm just going to tell you, I hope he plays to the best of his ability. I hope he picks up on the offense. He is the definite starter. They haven't announced the starter. They say there's a competition. Braden Locke will not be the starter over him. Tyler Van Dyke's your starter, and it's not close. That's your starter, and you have a very, very viable backup. He's not bad. Running back room. Oh, boy, let's talk about it. So, Chez is probably going to be the starter until he gets injured. This is an experienced guy, knows what he's doing, not going to fumble when it matters, going to make plays. Chez is cool. They did not expect Tawee Walker to be this good. Stud. I trust Tawee Walker in the red zone, near the goal line. That dude had 7 rushing touchdowns last year for Oklahoma, 500 rushing yards-ish, showing up. And I'm telling you, he might have the most rushing yards on this whole team. But when it all is said and done, he might be the guy. Now, I told you, Cade Yakimelli and Jackson Aker, not going to be here anymore. I think they're getting passed up on the depth chart. It's because I went and watched their true freshmen. This guy, Dylan Jones, from Olney. I'm going to record, this video is being recorded in 4K. We're going to be able to come back to this. Now, regular TikTok followers, YouTube followers, they can't see this video. This is only for MVPs. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to record this, and it'll be here until the test of time. Dylan Jones is the best running back Wisconsin has signed since Braylon Allen. Okay, easy call. This guy's an NFL running back. This guy's an every down NFL running back, does everything right. Moves with one cut, finds the right hole, can pass block, can do everything right. That dude is him. Okay? Then he's not going to, you can't keep him on the bench. He will be the 3rd leading rusher on this team. He will be on the field. I don't give a shit what they're saying. That is a true freshman that will be on the field. I want you to think Darius Taylor at Minnesota. Darius Taylor showed up as a true freshman last year, ended the season as their leading rusher. They just didn't know what they had. They weren't sure. They didn't start him the first game. You're not going to start Dylan Jones. You got all these other seniors ahead of him. You got Tawee Walker coming in from Oklahoma. I know. That's the best player I've seen on tape. Okay, that is one of the very best running backs, complete running backs I've seen on tape. Now, yes, I saw Nate Frazier out of Mater Dei go to Georgia. I know he's stupid fast. He's amazing and explosive. Wisconsin got one of those too. This kid down here, Darian Dupree from Chicago, Illinois, Mount Carmel. This guy is a 1-2 punch you don't want to mess with. 1-2 punch. This is Reggie Bush type athleticism, making you miss. You're not going to stop these guys from getting on the field. He might not get 10 carries a game. He might only get 5 receptions, a little screen pass, a bubble screen. They're going to do whatever they can to get this guy the ball, but that's a problem right there. I promise you, Darian Dupree is him. Now, of all the other freshmen I've seen, yes, they have another running back. This guy, is it Gideon? Yeah, Gideon down here from Gaithersburg. Shout out to him, but he's in a field all by himself, bro. There's a problem. There's 2 other running backs that you need to know. And yes, they don't have these ESPN 300 labels on Darian Dupree. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I evaluate talent every single day on film. I'm telling you. Darian Dupree. Oh my God. Darian Dupree, ready to play right now. Another guy, Kevin Haywood, won't be in the rotation right away. Give it some time. This is an offensive tackle. He's 6'7", 290, though. This is a very good player. He doesn't need to be playing this year. They got guys. But just remember that, okay? He's going to redshirt. Hopefully he doesn't see the field, but that's the future of this team. So, I really like where they're at in the running back position. There's a lot of depth there. They're still running back you, and they still have a ton of great players at running back. Let's go to defense. Kurt Neal just kind of plugs up stuff. He doesn't really move me. He's about 6 feet tall or maybe less. He's a little short. Doesn't do anything too great. He never gets to the quarterback. I don't like Kurt Neal on tape. Just keeping it real. And maybe it's not just Kurt Neal. Maybe it's some of these other players. Okay? One transfer they have coming in that intrigues me, Elijah Hillis. He's a senior transfer. He's coming over from Albany. If you know anything about Albany, they had this rusher. His name is Anton Jukakanjan or some shit like that. Some weird name. So Anton transferred in. Anton was top 5 in the country in sacks. Hillis was on the other side. Hillis is the lesser-known guy from Albany. Intrigues me. Don't know how good he is, really. on tape, somebody's getting all the attention and making all the plays. He's not a bad player, but he's transferring in. I think he's added depth. It's fine. But Kurt Neal just does not move me. Doesn't. James Thompson Jr., good player. Daryl Peterson, probably the best player on the defensive line. I really like him. The fact that they write outside linebacker, it's an edge rusher. But you see this Leon Lowry kid right here? Leon Lowry reminds me of Dylan Henley. I always say it, Diane Henley. A linebacker edge rusher that has coverage skills. This is a transfer coming over from Syracuse. 6'4", 230. Really like everything he does on tape. He looks like a player that can make a difference. I think they should be ecstatic that they got him. That's a really good player. I really like him. Jake Chaney's not starting over Jaheim Thomas. Jake Chaney's a team leader. He's fast. He's good. He has a ton of tackles. He's all that stuff. They're going to move Jaheim Thomas over here to right inside line. They're going to do something. But Jaheim Thomas is a starter. Okay, Jaheim Thomas, former 4-star kid, turned down LSU to stay at Cincy, coming out of high school, went to Cincinnati, was a breakout linebacker 2 years ago, ended up transferring from Cincinnati to Arkansas last year, one of their leading tacklers in the SEC, and now he transfers back to his old coaching staff in Wisconsin. So he's linking back up with his Cincinnati coaches. Shout out to them. And he's doing great things. Jaheim Thomas is an NFL player. 6'4", 250, 6'3", 250, something like that. Just a great player. You see Sebastian Cheeks come in. This is a sophomore transfer from North Carolina. I don't think he's that good. It might be a couple years before he sees the field. Good luck to him. Tackett Curtis. Everybody talks about Tackett Curtis. Former 4-star coming out of Louisiana. Played at Manny High School. Played at low-level high school. His highlight tape is of folklore. It's like amazing. He hitting everybody, knocking everybody out. But I saw the tape and was like, I'm not impressed. It's just a dude blasting little dudes. He beat a bunch of bankers, bro. Everybody on that tape, none of those guys are playing on Saturdays, is what I said. Went to USC, wasn't there. Now, what I will say is a lot of players at USC didn't perform well in the defense. Maybe it's the defensive coordinator and the position coach's fault for not developing these players. So now you transfer to Wisconsin. Maybe you're getting developed and you become what everybody hopes you would. But I don't think that Tackett Curtis is starter material this upcoming season. Excuse me. Added depth? Sure. Now, the best transfer they got, John Pius. John Pius is probably the best transfer I see on tape. John Pius is from William & Mary, the school leader, school record holder at William & Mary in sacks. That's an FCS guy. But he is a certified pass rusher. And if I want to go watch tape on him, instead of watching highlights, I was like, let me go watch a game. So I turn on the only FBS game I saw of his, and I record every single one. Look at this game against Virginia when they were losing. They lost this game. They got blown out. You want to know what guys showed up and had 2.5, 3 sacks? 2.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 8 tackles. He was everywhere, dominating that game. He looked like the only FBS player out there, bro. Against Virginia, against good competition, he dominated. Don't you ever think this guy can't play at this level. And now he's at Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to seeing him dominate, okay? So I'm excited for that and John Pius. There's Ricardo Hallman, the 7-interception corner. He's good. So he knows how to get to the ball and intercept things. I like Duclona. He's actually getting passed on the depth chart if you ask me. Duclona? Yeah, I think he's getting passed. Jace Arnold's nice. Obviously, Waller is one of the best safeties in America. Great player. Good people backing them up. Latu, former Utah safety, great player. Nazir Forqueen, like I said, a transfer from the Division II level. Great player, not as productive as you think, and probably not productive enough. And I'm saying that because they brought in R.J. Delancey. R.J. Delancey, the third, by the way, they don't have it there. R.J. Delancey is a transfer from Toledo. And at Toledo, I want you guys to remember, Toledo had the greatest corner in the whole country, right? First corner off the board, drafted, all this stuff. So if you have the best corner in the world on one side, and Quentin Mitchell, who do you have on the other side? Well, the other corner was R.J. Delancey. He's a starter. 10 passes deflected last year. When you have double-digit pass deflections, I know you can find the ball. I go turn on the tape to see what you're doing. That's a good corner. That's a good player. They know it. They brought him in. He can play. So I really like everything they're doing in the secondary. One of the best secondaries in America. Super talented. Love the linebackers they brought in. Impact players like Jaheim Thomas, Pius, Lowry, Curtis. All this is great. Defensive line needs some work. Offensively, love the receivers. I really do. Will Pauling is him. Never forget that. Will Pauling is him. Love the receivers. We did ladder Will Pauling in yards in the bowl game. Yeah, we did. Shout out to me. Told the MVPs do that, and they made a ton of money. Just got to see Tyler Van Dyke put it all together. So, they got a loaded schedule. Love their new running backs. Love their recruits. Love where they're building. Let's talk about the rest of the transfer portal class. They have 15 transfers coming in total. They brought their long snapper from Cincy. Congratulations, he's here. Leon Lowry, an impact pass rusher, dynamic guy, 6'4", 240 pounds, can cover, can rush, can do everything. So he's a do-all guy. He's great. Tyler Van Dyke, NFL prospect. Let's see what he can do at quarterback. John Pius, like I told you, all-time leading sacker, FCS All-American, and dominated against Virginia last year. I think he's ready to play at the FBS level. Terrell Henry coming in from Michigan State. He's a return guy. Kickoff returner, punt returner, not really going to be in the rotation at wide receiver, not from what I've seen. Tawee Walker, still in the show at running back. I'm ready for it. I believe in that little guy. Now, he is 5'9", 215. He's just a bundle. He's just a bowling ball. All right, Sebastian Cheeks, he's Cheeks, bro. I hope he gets in the rotation and becomes somebody someday, just not ready today. Jackson McGowan, not ready today. Tackett Curtis, big name guy, not ready today. Jaheim Thomas, starter from day one, impact player, all-conference type player. Elijah Hills, we're trying to see what he's about. I don't know. FCS guy, opposite of a superstar. Speaking of being opposite of a superstar, RJ Delancey, a starter at Toledo, transferring in. I like him. Joey Okla is a depth piece, right? He wasn't even a starter at Illinois. Coming in, just an extra big body. They signed him late. They signed all these guys late. Now, let me get to Joseph Griffin Jr. I had an FCS coaching staff reach out to me and ask me to assist them with finding wide receivers in the transfer portal. So they asked me to make a chart. Rico, can you tell us who's the best in the portal, who's left, all these things? And as I was doing my research, Joseph Griffin Jr. was in the portal at this time when I was making this list. He was number 4 for me on the list. Number 4. Coming out of Boston College. The stats aren't quite there. You won't be blown away by the production. But he's a starter from day one. Been in the rotation from day one. He's one of their leading receivers. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's a good player. They just don't have good quarterbacks at Boston College, and they haven't for a while. Even Thomas Castellanos is there. He's not a good passer. He's a great rusher, right? So when you put him in the right offense and get him the ball, I think that's a great player. Now, he's still young, so I don't think he's starting right away. I do think he's in the rotation, but he's not that go-to like everybody thinks. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but in the future. The skill positions at Wisconsin right now, as we speak, are about 2 years away from being elite. Elite. Especially those running backs. Those running backs are so good. NFL running backs. And it's been a while since you've had multiple NFL running backs in one room. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to stay there, but it is what it is, right? And then Leighton Nelson, another depth piece at tackle. They already got 2 certified tackles, so this guy's coming in. So that's the team as a whole. I really like the team. I'm encouraged by where they're going, so let's talk about their schedule next year. They open up against Western Michigan, an obvious win. They'll beat a directional Michigan. They'll beat South Dakota, an FCS opponent. Then they play Alabama at home. Alabama is retooling. Alabama is resurging. Alabama is way better than Wisconsin in a lot of areas. I know it looks like Alabama's going to have a down year, and by my account, they will. But my definition of a down year for Alabama is 9 wins, not anything less. And if they want to get to 9 wins, they're going to beat Wisconsin. So I count that as a loss. At USC, after 2 weeks of preparation, I still think USC is more talented. Zachariah Branch is a problem. Granted, your secondary matches up really well with USC. Okay, so it's just going to come down to can you stop USC's passing attack with your secondary? I think you can. But then on the flip side, can you actually score on that defense? And I told you guys, USC's defense is revamped. It's a whole nother animal. They have great defensive coordinator now, great linebackers coach, great secondaries coach, and they got a bunch of players that know how to play. They went and got the leading tacklers from Oregon State. They went and got some of the greatest players you can get in the transfer portal. I really like USC's defense to be revamped, if you will. So I actually see them as 2-2 at that point. They're beating Purdue. They're beating Rutgers. 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. Northwestern will be down next year. They're not beating Penn State. All right, so now they're 5-3. They're not going to go on the road and beat Iowa. I don't think. It could happen. They have the right skills. I just don't know. Iowa's defense is going to be really good next year. So I have them 5-4. 5-5 at this point because they're not beating Oregon after 2 weeks of preparation. But I have them finishing the season with 2 wins. I think they go on the road and beat Nebraska again, and I think they beat Minnesota late in the year. I think Nebraska is going to be in a lot of trouble with the true freshman quarterback. I think Nebraska is not nearly as good as you guys think, and Wisconsin's got the weapons to beat them, got the juice to do it. So, for me, I like these last 2 wins. If they get those last 2 wins, that's 7 wins on the season. I have them at 7 wins, despite losses to Alabama, USC, Penn State, Iowa, and Oregon. Still 7 wins. So, once again, the sports book tells you that they're at 6.5. I think they're over. And I think the over is there at minus 144. So this is a lean, not a lock. And it's at minus 144. So it's one of those bets you guys should be making. Remember what I told you guys. We don't know what our percentage is on what we hit, but we're going to win a lot. We're going to be right on these a lot. This is what I do. I study rosters all offseason, and I don't get these things wrong. This is why I'm Rico Knows. This is why you guys trust me. Go get your bets in while you can. Just throw a quick $5. Change your unit size for all these future bets. Make your unit size $5 or $10, and then go put them all in. And at the end of the year, when the season concludes, when the regular season's over, you're going to get all your winnings. And I guarantee you what you get in returns is going to be a hell of a lot more than what you put in. It's a tax return. You guys will be balling out of control and ready for the bowl season. And we don't miss in bowl season. I know, transfer portal depleted rosters. Bowl season, we went 65% against the spread in bowl season. And our prop bets never missed. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all. Shout out to all the MVPs.